I'm going to start today with a word that I love, and that's sex. Did everybody just get really uncomfortable? Yeah, I wanted to get it out right there, right? My question to you today is, what is sexual consent? What is sexual consent? Think about it. I bet you have a couple of words going through your mind. Permission, agreement, contract. Oh, well, that is one way of thinking about consent. And it's the way that we've thought about consent for a really long time. And what I love is that we're starting to get to a point now where how we think about sexual consent is changing. It used to be that we thought about sexual consent as a no means no. What if we thought about sexual consent as yes meaning yes? The other day, my friend called me up. I hadn't heard from him in a really long time. And he says, "Hey, Lori, let's go to lunch." And I sat there and I said, "Oh, well, you know what? Let me check my calendar. Let me think about it. I'll give you a call tomorrow." And in my mind, I was like, I am not going to lunch. There's no way I'm going to lunch. But I didn't say no. Because how many of us like to say no to anything? To a friend asking you to lunch, to go to the gym. We don't like saying no. What we do like saying is yes. And if we think about consent in a way where we start thinking about it as yes, it becomes more positive. Let me define affirmative consent for you, this yes means yes concept. Affirmative consent means voluntary, conscious, affirmative agreement to engage in sexual activity. It is the responsibility of the person initiating the sexual activity to ensure that he or she has affirmative consent from the other or others for that sexual activity. Lack of protest or resistance does not mean consent. Consent can be revoked at any time. Affirmative consent should be ongoing throughout any sexual activity. The existence of a dating relationship or the fact of a past sexual relationship between the people never in and of itself should be assumed to mean consent. That's a lot. And what I think is really interesting and why I really like talking to students about this is because I like to point out the communication aspect of this. I'm a communication scholar, and the way that students communicate consent currently does not fit that definition. It's actually everything opposite. They are getting drunk. That's not conscious consent, right? We think about sex and sexual consent as this permission, this agreement. And a lot of times we put that on men. Men have to ask. They're the initiators. And guess what I am? I'm the gatekeeper. I decide whether you get in. And really, if we think about what that means, is that puts a lot of pressure on men. A lot of pressure on men. And it also takes away my sexual agency as a female. Because if I want to initiate, if I want to say yes, then where's that space for that? The other part is it can be revoked at any time. At any time. That means consent to kiss, consent to fill me up, does not mean consent for sex. Or if we start doing something and I'm not into it, or if you're not into it, you can say no. But what we should be looking for is yes. Yes. So I want to end today by saying sex. Hopefully we feel a little less uncomfortable. It's a tough topic, but we need to talk about it.